Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I just wanted to make a video of the top 6 things that you should do if you're a new tractor owner. So if you've purchased a Kubota BX23s or a BX tractor, congratulations. Here are the things that you should go over when you first bring it home. Number 1, wheel torque. Make sure the bolts and nuts on your wheels are torqued to the right specifications, because that will stop your rims from being wallered out if there's play in it. So let's do that now. So the wheel nuts on the front of the BX23s should be at 110 to 132 foot-pounds. So we're just going to check that right now. So on the front tire, it's a 19mm socket and it's 4 bolts. So we'll check those now. Okay, we'll go check the other side. All right, so that is the front torque settings done. All right, then on the rear, you see there are 3 bolts and 2 nuts, because there's studs that the nuts ride on, and this is a 21. You will also need a extension because you can't get in there without it. And we'll go to the other side. So once your lug nuts are checked for the right torque settings, you might as well also check your tire pressure. Now, go by what's on the sidewalls of the tires and make sure that your tire pressures are correct. So one thing I like to do when I'm checking my tire pressure is in the wintertime, I like to lower the pressure a bit. It gives more contact patch on the ground, giving us more traction in the snow and the ice. And then in the summertime, I put that back up to what I need it to be. The next thing on the list of things to check when you first get your tractor is, yes, you'll be aware that you should be doing all of your greasing of your zerks. The one thing people miss is the one that's on the deck. This one controls your pedals forward and reverse and allowing it to return to center nicely. If you start finding that it's hanging up and staying in forward motion or rear motion, it's probably because you haven't greased this, or there's dirt in the grease and you should go under your deck and clean it out. You don't have to use the Milwaukee grease gun, you can just use a hand pump one. Just make sure you do grease that one. As with all grease fittings on your tractor, you don't have to go crazy and put like 10 pumps of grease into them. 2 or 3 is fine. So we'll do that now. That'll go a long way in keeping your pedals working the way they should. All right, the next one is in relation to the throttle lever on the control panel. Sometimes what happens with new tractor owners is they will engage the throttle, put it to the speed that they want, but then they notice that the speed drops down and they have to keep bringing it back up again, and then it drops down. Keep bringing it back up again. The issue is because underneath, inside of here, there's a jam nut that holds a spring, and that backs off and then loosens, and then you don't get any friction to hold your throttle in the position that you set it. What I did when I first got my tractor was I replaced the jam nut for a lock nut. So this is an example of one. It's got the nylon threads on it, and this will allow it to not back off when it gets vibrations on it. The other thing you can do is you can just use Loctite. I'd use a blue Loctite and continue to use the 2 jam nuts that are in there. So let's see what that looks like. So just take your guard off. I'll take the key out. And as you can see right here, I'll just clean it off. I've left the 2 jam nuts, and that's where I added the nylock washer. I could have taken that off, but at the time I was brand new and I just decided to put one on, and it has been rock solid. So you can see how that moves. And that keeps enough pressure on it. What I like to do is, if I'm looking at a specific item, like the jam nut, I will also look around the area to make sure there's nothing else that needs to be done while I'm in there. Always be on the lookout for things that need to be cleaned, tightened, lubricated, or a mental note that you'll have to fix later. So now that that's checked, we'll put the cover back on. Number 4 on the list is check your front axle fluid level. And that's this yellow plunger on top of the axle on the driver's side of the tractor. So I'll show you a little trick. I just use a pair of pliers with rubber handles. Use the handles as extra leverage. Put it on and pop it off. And then what I like to do is just dab it on a cloth to see where the level is at. So I'm pretty good. You give it a clean up. I also like to clean out the hole because you can see there's some debris and rust buildup. Make sure it doesn't fall inside. Then you can reinstall that. There you go. That's number 4. And once you do fill that up, make sure it's with the recommended fluid for your tractor. The next one is kind of interesting. Lots of people say that this tip number 5 happens at 30 hours, and that is the engine coolant level drops in the reservoir. So let's check ours. And the way you do that is by lifting up at a diagonal the handle and pulling the hood forward. Always make sure that you move your front grille so you don't wreck the front of your tractor. I've seen on the 2024 models that actually the new grille guard scrapes the emblem, so be careful of that. All right, so when you open up your hood, it's easier to come on the passenger side, and you can see that white bottle right there. That is your coolant level for your engine. And if we just go inside, you can see that there is a low marker and a high marker, and mine is in between. At about 30 hours, this goes down past the low. So just use your coolant of choice and make sure it's up in that range, and you'll be fine. That's number 5. Also, good time to come in here and check. Make sure that your air filter is clean. Oh, which it's not. So we'll go clean that out. Put that back in after it's clean. And you might as well check your air filter as well. That's in this side of the tractor on the driver's side. Open up these 2 clips. Take the cover off. Pull out your filter. Check it. You can clean the inside of this as well and then put it back. The other thing to check is that there's a breather hole at the bottom of the filter cap. And that's why it's important to point this at the top, because this breather valve gets rid of any moisture that's in there. So make sure that you check that. All right, so then we have those done. We'll just close the hood. The last one is kind of neat. When Kubota paints their tractors, the cylinders are already put together, but they don't want to paint the silver section right here. So what they do is they put a small O-ring, like a little washer, on this section so that it's a natural break. From where the paint goes, and it protects the seals of the hydraulic rams right in this area here. I'll put some pictures that I can find on the internet from people. I'll try to tag them if I know who they are. Those are to protect the cylinders while they're getting painted, and they don't need to stay on there. You can remove them as soon as you get your tractor Sometimes you don't notice them until you're using them and you're like, oh my gosh, I've seen this little ring. It's come off. What is it for? So that's what that is. So that's just a little tip for when you have your new tractor. If you notice those little O-rings on your hydraulic cylinders, don't worry, you can take them off. So leave it in the comments if you've come across any of those. Let me know if there's any other ones that you'd like to add to this list, and we can help the community when they get their new tractors. This has been 6 tips for new tractor owners to the Kubota BX line. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. What did you do on your land today? Send us a message. People would love to hear it.